Hello, this is DJS, coach of the Tentacle Pirates, and welcome to week 4 of PAC YouTube season 3. So, this week our opponent is Cram, coach of the St. Louis Battlehawluchas. So, I saw Cram fight before. He's definitely a very good coach, but I haven't fought him anywhere before. So, this is gonna be our first meetup. So, his team consists of Roaring Moon, the Azumarill, Magnezone, Toadscrew, Espion, Primeape, Graphite, Electric, Driftbeam, Arcanine, and Cough. And his Terra captains are Toadscrew, Espion, and the Primeape. So he does have some big threats like the Azumarill and the Roaring Moon, but I do have a Dondozo which can probably take hits from both even if they set up. So yeah, so that's probably not gonna be a big problem. However, I do expect him to bring both of those two mons, and he might also bring like a Perish Trap Azumarill to like block and knock out my Dondozo, so he can have a better time with Roaring Moon, like a setup Roaring Moon. He is also probably just gonna bring the Magnezone because it's his best way in his team to knock out my Dondozo, so I'm definitely expecting the Magnezone to come. Then he's probably also going to bring the Toadscrew since it's his like main hazard setter and removal at the same time. So yeah, I expect like a spikes or T-spikes Toadscrew with maybe some sort of offensive moves for Dondozo, and it's probably gonna be the Terramon that he's gonna bring because I don't expect the Espion or Primeape to come. For the last 2 months, he's probably bringing the Drift Beam because it's immune to both of Great Tusk Stab, and it can be very bulky. So yeah, I probably won't be able to 2-hit KO it with like Ice Spinner or knockoff. So he's probably gonna bring a very physically defensive Drift Beam. And for the final mon, he might bring the Graphite, which I saw him bring like every week, like an encore, parting shot, knockoff, just an annoying set. Or he might bring the Teeter just for some intimidate spam on my physical mons like the Great Tusk and Iron Thorns. And it's also not very bad against my team. So yeah, so I'm definitely expecting 6 from the 7. Probably, yeah, he's probably not gonna bring the Electric and Cough, and I also don't think he's gonna bring the Espion. Maybe the Primer, but I don't think it's coming. And let's see the team that we are gonna be bringing. So the first one this week is the Great Tusk. So I'm bringing an Assault Vest Great Tusk. So its main job is to deal with the Toadscrew. So that's why I got a hefty amount of special defense and an Assault Vest, so I can take some hits from it and remove the hazards it wants to set up or threaten it with an Ice Spinner. It can definitely tear up, but I think if it tears to something else, Coast Combat or EQ is just gonna do like more than the Ice Spinner. So yeah, but we'll have to see what type it tears into. So we have Rapid Spin to remove the hazards away, Double Stab with Coast Combat, Earthquake, and Ice Spinner to hit mons like the Drift Beam as well. We have some speed to outspeed Max Speed Magnezone, a hefty amount of special defense, and the rest is on attack. Next up we have our Ochian. So this is gonna be a physical defensive Ochian. So this is mainly to deal with his Roaring Moon. If it doesn't have U-turn, if it's a setup set, it might not have a U-turn. So then, and like it can also take a hit from like Azumarill or something. I got taunt. If I'm in front of an Azumarill, it might, if it's a belly drum set or like a Perish song set, I can just taunt and stop it from doing that. Besides, you got knockoff to remove items, reach seed, and clear drain just for some sustainability and annoyance. Next up, we have our Gengar. So I'm bringing a choice scarf Gengar this week. So I don't think his Roaring Moon is gonna be a scarf one. So if I can switch into a Roaring Moon switch in, he might want to like U-turn or crunch out, and then I can just KO it with a Dazzling Gleam, unless it's Rosary Berry, of course, or I can just Destiny Bond to get a KO, double KO. Yeah, so it's mainly our check to a Roaring Moon. Besides that, it got the double stab with Shadow Ball and Surge Bomb, which hit his team fairly well, but most of his team is like either weak to Shadow Ball or resist Shadow Ball, or like weak to Surge Bomb or resist it. So it's gonna be hard, like locking into a move, but it can be a good cleaner if some of the resists are like weak. So then I can just bring it to game to finish off his team, or if I can get a Destiny Bond knockout with something that's set up, that's also fine. Next up, we have Iron Thorns. So we are again bringing an offensive Iron Thorns this week with Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Wild Charge, and I am gonna be Terra Dark this week, mainly just to avoid an encore from the Graphite. It also helps blocks Parting Shot from Graphite. We also have the Clear Amulet just in case the Arcanine comes and tries to like intimidate switch in to get it slowed down. So yeah, so Earthquake, Dark, Terra Blast, and Wild Charge hits most of his team fairly well. So yeah, it's gonna be our main source of offense this week. Next up, we have the Dondozo. So we have a lot of Fizz Def and special defense this week, and it's just gonna take some hits from most of his mons, like a Belly Drum Azumarill or like a Dragon Dance, Roaring Moon, maybe like a setup Primeape or something, or a Espion if he decides to bring it. But yeah, it's just a general switches for his mon. I have a Rocky Helmet because like since I have Ocean, he's definitely gonna bring some U-turn mons. Getting that cheap on them with the Rocky Helmet sounds like a good idea. And finally, I have the Screamtail, which is my last check to the Roaring Moon. So yeah, we have a Babiri just if to take a Iron Head, and I have like Dazzling Gleam is our stab to hit the Roaring Moon, and I have Encore for like if something like the Primeape is bulking up or like a Azumarill is Belly Drum. I do not get knocked out by a +6 Aqua Jet, so if a Azumarill Belly Drums up, it might want to go for something like a Play Rough. So I can just Encore it to Belly Drum and then Dazzling Gleam it down. So yeah, this is gonna be the team I'm bringing this week. Now let's head on to the battle. So unfortunately, I lost my recording of the match that I had. However, my opponent was kind enough to lend me his part of the video, so we'll have to watch the game in his perspective. It feels a bit weird, but yeah, that's the only option I had. So as you can see, my opponent has decided to bring the Roaring Moon, the Magnezone, the Graphite, the Toadscrew, the Azumarill, and the Drifblim. Most of them are just as we predicted. So he didn't bring the Arcanine and decided to bring the Graphite. And I think I'm leading with the Great Tusk. Yeah, so yeah, I lead with the Great Tusk while he leads with Graphite. So turn 1, I don't predict, I just go for a ground move, and yeah, he just switches into the Drifblim. Yeah, and he see me into the move. So now I don't think I have any reason to stay in. I think I expected a will-o-wisp instead of an air slash, so I switch out to my, I think my Ocean. Yeah, so I switch out to my Ocean as the first of an air slash, it seems. Yeah, so it doesn't do a lot, especially when it's a super effective hit, and I do get some health back with leftovers. Now I think this turn is free for me to fire off a knockoff. So yeah, I think I just fire off a knockoff here. Yeah, he brings in the Graphite. Yeah, I get knockoff and he uses his Black Search. And now it's obvious that if he has U-turn, he's gonna go for it. Yeah, as you can see, he's just going for the U-turn. So I think I switch back to my Great Tusk, because this thing cannot do a lot to Great Tusk anyway. So yeah, so he U-turns into something. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot. So yeah, he goes back to the Drift Beam again. Yeah, so it's the same scenario again, and yeah, I don't not want to get burned, so I probably switch out again to my Ocean, because I don't think I care a lot if that thing is burned. Yeah, I switch back to Ocean. Yeah, and he just fires off a will-o-wisp. Yeah, the burn will offset the leftovers recovery, but it's at least better than getting my Great Tusk burned. So at this point I think I'm free to just fire off a Leech Seed, since he's just switching into Graphite on this Ocean. So I think I just fire off a Leech Seed, but here he goes to the Roaring Moon. Yeah, it does resist both of the stabs, but yeah, I just fire off the Leech Seed, get some health back. And now if this thing has U-turn, it's definitely clicking U-turn, and as you can see, it doesn't waste a moment to click U-turn. So I think I switch into my Dondozo, since if it sets up, it doesn't matter, and if U-turns, you take the Rocky Helmet chip. Yeah, he just U-turns, does very little, and he takes almost the same amount of damage in helmet. I expected him to go back to the magnet zone, but instead I think he goes to the torch screw. Yeah, he goes to the torch screw. Yeah, so I don't want to stay on this thing, and my switch into this thing is the Great Tusk and the Ocean. So yeah, I switch out and send back in the Ocean, because yeah, I don't think it has a great way to hit me. And as you can see, he just set up some toxic spikes, so I have the ways to get rid of them if I switch in my Gengar or my Great Tusk, but Great Tusk will get poisoned. So I think I just pull a double here to my Gengar, because he's definitely not throwing off an earth power here. So I think I just double into the Gengar to get rid of the toxic spikes. It was a risky double, but yeah, I think it works out. Yeah, as you can see, he just switches back into the Roaring Moon while I get my Gengar in, get rid of the T spikes, and this is the position that wanted my Gengar in because he doesn't know I'm scarfed, and as you can see, he is not. So yeah, it was like the best position I wanted against my Gengar. Yeah, and I just fire off a Dazzling Gleam, and he just faints. So there goes the Roaring Moon, and without causing serious problems. My Gengar has done his job, but as you can see, he has toxic spikes in his team, so I think I will need to keep it in the back just to get rid of the T spikes in the future. Yeah, so he switches back into the Grapha. So yeah, so as you can see, I don't want to take a knockoff, and definitely doesn't KO it at this range. So I think I switch back to my Great Tusk here. Yeah, I go back to my Great Tusk, and he'll knock off my Assault Vest. Unfortunate, but yeah, it should be fine still. So now, as he shown multiple times, he's gonna definitely switch into the Drift Beam. So I think I go for a Ice Spinner here, predicting him to go to the Drift Beam. Yeah, as you can see, he goes back to the Drift Beam, and we fire off Ice Spinner. But he is Yachi Berry, so he's not gonna take a whole lot. Yeah, it does about like a 25%. So the next one definitely doesn't KO him, and I think he's definitely firing off a Strength Sap. So my best play is just to go to my Mon with the lowest attack, and I think it was Screamtail. Yeah, so yeah, I just go to my Screamtail, which has the least attack in my team, and he Strength Saps. My attack fail, not that it matters, and he does go back to full here. So now I think I can freely fire off a Wish with my Screamtail, which I think I do. While he goes back to the Toad Screw. Yeah, he just goes back to Toad Screw where I go for the Wish. Now I am thinking, yeah, he's definitely gonna set up the T-Spikes again. So I think it's better for me to go back to my Great Tusk so I can spin off before getting poisoned. But as you can see, he instead of going for T-Spikes, he just goes for another knockoff. And yeah, Great Tusk will take it fairly well, and I get back to full from the Wish. Now since I have a lot of special defense, I definitely take a Giga Drain, I know, and I think I expected him to switch back to the Drift Beam, or even if this is staying, it's gonna take a lot from Ice Spinner, so I think I clicked Ice Spinner over here. However, it decides to Terra to a Steel. So yeah, so now he's weak to my stabs. However, as you can see, the Giga Drain knocks me out because of a critical hit. So unfortunately, there goes Great Tusk. Yeah, I would have liked to keep it a bit longer because it still goes well against a lot of his teams. So now at this point, I figure out he doesn't probably have Spore, so I think it's a good time for me to set up with my Iron Hands, because I think at +1 I'm fairly sure I can knock out most of his team. The only thing I was worried about was like the Stardy Magnezone, but I think I am bulky enough to take like one hit from non-analytic Magnezone, and if he's analytic then he won't survive an earthquake. So I go for the Terra Dark just in case Graphite comes in and tries to encore me or something, and go for a Dragon Dance. As you can see, just goes for a Terra Steel Stab Flash Cannon, which doesn't do a lot, so I can take one more and I just go for the Dragon Dance. So now I can technically go for another Dragon Dance, but however if he decides to fire Flash Cannon, I think it does put me in range of like a Bandit, Azumarill, Aqua Jet. So instead of going for the second Dragon Dance, I think I just go for the EQ over here. But as you can see, he just goes to his Drift Beam. So if I just set up a second Dragon Dance over there, I probably would have just won. However, I decided to go for the EQ, which Drift Beam avoids. Now I can either go for a Terra Blast or a Wild Charge, but Drift Beam has a huge amount of HP, so Wild Charge will give me a huge amount of recoil, so I just decided to go for a Terra Blast to knock this thing out. But however, as you can see, it lives on 1 HP and he clears smog my stats out. So that was very unfortunate. And now another Terra Blast or Wild Charge does knock him out, and I think it's not as faster than me, since I am heavily speed invested and it's heavily defense invested, but I don't take the risk and just go back to my Gengar. This Drift Beam is pretty low now, so if I am able to get another Dragon Dance up on the Torch School at one point, I will be fairly in good shape. So I just switch to my Gengar, give him as much less health as possible, and now Shadow Ball is fairly predictable, so I decide to go for a Surge Bomb instead, because I think I expected the Graphite to come in. Yeah, so I go for a Surge Bomb, and yeah, it does allow me to knock it out in the next turn, but as you can see, it just switches back into the Torch Screw to so he will take no damage from that. So at this point, my switch into Torch Screw is the Ocean. So yeah, I think I go back to my Ocean, as you can see, he's just setting up the T-Spikes again. But since I still have Gengar around, I can just bring it back and get rid of the T-Spikes. However, the burn on the Ocean does allow me to pivot on this Toxic Spike, so yeah, so that did help somehow. So now at this point, I think he has no grass type, so each seed is completely free. So I think go for a Leech Seed here. He brings in the Graphite, which gets seeded. I get some health back. So now I'm thinking is probably just go for another U-turn to get some pivoting. So I think I switch into my Dondozo because it's pretty low on health. So if he goes for the U-turn, the Rocky Helmet will just knock him out. I will get poisoned, but since Roaring Moon is down, I don't think I need it that much. Yeah, so I bring in the Dondozo, gets poisoned, and instead of U-turn, he just goes for the knockoff to get my helmet out. but he does faint to the helmet. So the Graphite goes down, which means that my Gengar is free to spam Shadow Ball at this moment. However, 3 of his mons, as you can see, are still at full health. So if I want to clean up with Gengar, I will need to get some more damage on them. So he brings in the Magnezone. So at this point I'm thinking I don't think I need Dondozo much, and if he sets off an sub, that will be annoying because my switching to this thing is my Ocean, and since it's Barnes and Giga Drain it won't do a lot of damage. So I think I just stayed in an EQ, but he just goes for the Thunderbolt to knock me out. Yeah, so now I bring in the Gengar again to get rid of the T-Spikes, and at this point I'm definitely sure the Shadow Ball doesn't knock him out. So I think I just double back into Ocean. Yeah, so I just double back into my Ocean while it goes for the Volt Switch, it seems. It goes for the Volt Switch, does a small amount, and yeah, and I think he's gonna bring in the Azumarill at this point, since my Dondozo is down. It's probably has a good position to fire off some attacks. So I think I should even Banded Player from this point, but I don't think I want it to go for a belly drum or like Peristrap me or something. I have taunt to stop its belly drum, but I am not speed investment, so I don't know how fast this thing is. So I think I just decide to go to my Screamtail. I should leave any one hit, and if he just goes for a belly drum, I can just encore it into belly drum, because that Quadjet definitely doesn't kill me from this range, and if he's low on HP, I think a Giga Drain is in range to knock it out. So I just go to my Screamtail, but as you can see, just fires off a player off, and that damage tells me definitely it's banded. So at this point I think I go for a wish, and to get the Azumarill knock me out, and then I can go to something like the Iron Thorns, knock this thing out and get my health back with wish. So as you can see, go off the for wish, and he knocks me out with the Azumarill. So I go back to my Iron Thorns now, because I think that's the best way to knock this thing out. As Wild Charge, I think, knocks this thing out, and I'll get all the health I lost back with the wish. So I go to my Iron Thorns, and I think I just click Wild Charge. So he decides to just stay in and click player off, but as you can see, Wild Charge just knocks it out. That definitely showed that it was not a lot of bulk invested, and I get all the health I lost back from the wish. So now I think I'm in a prime position, because none of his mons actually can one shot me, so I am free to set up a Dragon Dance, and after Dragon Dance I think I OHKO like most of his team unless he starts Magnezone. So he goes back to Torskrull. So as we saw last time, Flash Cannon doesn't do a lot to me, and he doesn't have Spore to put me back to sleep. So yeah, I'm just free to click off a dragon dance here. He makes the same play as last time, switching into the drift beam in the torch screw, but I just go for the dragon dance. Yeah, and now at +1 I think I knock out his whole team and also outspeed the torch screw. Yeah, so Terrablast definitely KO it at this range since it almost KO hit from full. Yeah, so there goes the drift beam. Yeah, as you can see, he doesn't have any lot of options left now. He can probably just hope to leave a hit and get a crit with flash cannon. Even I don't think even crit knocks me out, but yeah, the EQ will just kill the torch screw. Yeah, and so the Magnezone is down him on that set, and as you can see, it's not sturdy, it's analytic Magnezone. And even if it was sturdy, I still have Gengar in the back and Wochian, so I can just finish this thing after it's back to sturdy. So yeah, the EQ just knocks this thing out, and Iron Thorns pulls up another sweep. The game would have been a lot easier if I got the knockout on Rip Beam on the first turn, but unfortunately I did not. But it didn't matter in the end, and we got another victory, 3-0 victory this time. So that's gonna be our battle for week 4. We are 4-0 at this point and doing pretty well. So yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll be back for next week. Bye.